Morning. It's a beautiful day here. It's another day of summer. So I'm off to, conditions are perfect for harvesting, so I'm off to harvest some various herbs, and I've got my baskets here. It's a dry day and it's past dew, the dew is dried and it's not too hot, so it's just the perfect time. So I'm going to get some roses and some hawthorn over here. So I have Rosa rugosa bushes dotted around, and they tend to spread because they put suckers up. So it means that you get more medicine for your money because you only need to buy a couple of plants and then they just go spreading everywhere. So rose is very cooling and astringent. And so for any of those parts of the body that need to be dried up, we use rose water on our skin to refresh it. So it's very refreshing, very cooling, takes the heat away. So it's a lovely topical medicine, but it's also nice to make it for the heart as well. So I think May is a month of heart medicine because the roses are coming out and the hawthorn is in blossom. If I kind of deadhead them, they don't need deadheading, but you know what I mean, I just snip it off, which means it'll make another flower. It'll just keep flowering through the summer. Oh wow, that perfume, that scent is divine. And up here, a little bit further up, I have some white Rosa rugosa, and I like to mix them up because I'm not biased against white roses. When I was a little girl, we didn't have a garden, so we had to go to the local park and to enjoy roses. And I can remember my Auntie Tess helping me to make perfume with the rose petals. But I don't think they smelled as good as this. And I just feel now that I have my own roses, it's just such a blessing. I'm so grateful that they're growing here so happily. Hawthorn is in the same family. It's in the rose family. So again, it's another wonderful medicinal plant for the heart. The whole cardiovascular system can benefit from hawthorn, and it's got many other qualities as well. So some people find that they sleep better when they're taking it. So we've got such a huge abundance of blossom this year that I just feel it would be really rude and ungrateful if I didn't take more. I've already 2 kilner jars full of it, but there's just so much more coming. So thank you, dear hawthorn, for this generosity. So when we're gathering hawthorn, we're taking the little fresh tips and the leaves, we're taking the flowers, and then in autumn we don't just take, we ask if it's possible for us to have the blossoms and then the berries in autumn. So that's one of the things I like to emphasize to students, is that we don't take things, we approach with gratitude already in our hearts, and we ask, please can we have some of your medicine? And invariably the plant will just give it up to us. I'll just leave these at the front of the house and I'll go off and get a few other things. I've just been collecting some nettles from this onion bed. The nettles that I would harvest normally are just along there, but they've gone too old. They're a bit past it, and they'd be a bit too fibrous for using for medicine and for tea. So fortunately, some have self-seeded in here, and I've been able to collect some. And because these are much younger, they've come up at a later date. And sometimes people say, how do you manage to, just get hold of nettles? Because there's a technique where you just grasp it and be firm and confident, and it doesn't sting. Because if you're going all tremulous like, ooh, then you're going to get stung everywhere. So just have no fear, and even if you do get stung, it's not that bad, and it's probably good for us too. I like to have lots of nettles dried for tea over winter because they're just so nourishing. They'll keep us strong, they'll build up stamina, they keep our blood healthy, they're full of minerals and nutrients of all kinds and vitamins, and they're good for everybody at every age. So you're never, and you know, they make a great food as well, because you can cook them like spinach, just wilt them down in a pan, or you can make lovely soup, as you've seen from the other videos. So there's nothing not to like about nettles. They can even be used in the garden as a fertilizer. So it's great to have plenty of them on hand, especially over winter when we might feel a bit more tired because there's less sunlight. And I'm very happy that I've found these. So I'm going to leave these up on the bench, and then I'm going after some plantain. So I'm going around from plant to plant because I don't want to take all the leaves from one plant, because then it will die. So I've been and collected a few plantain leaves, and there's a few here on this plant. So again, plantain, I did a video about this a year or two back. It's a wonder herb. It helps with nearly every system in the body. You can also eat the young leaves. You can use the seeds if you have constipation. Just collect the seeds and put them into your flour or your breakfast cereal or something like that. Put them into smoothies. Plantain is very mucilaginous, so it's very, very soothing to any mucous membranes, which is why it's so beneficial for so many systems internally. And of course, it's the most brilliant first aid remedy for bites and stings, injuries, foreign bodies, because it draws so beautifully well and then heals up any wound. So, going after some daisies now. But daisies are another wonderful resource, because apart from making medicine, you can throw them into your salads as well. And it just makes your salad look so beautiful and interesting. And you know, when kids find out that they can eat flowers, I think they're more inclined to eat their greens as well. Daisies are particularly useful for children because they make a fantastic salve for all the bumps and bruises that children might endure as they're playing around. It's really our arnica, because I can't grow arnica here because I'm at sea level and because the weather is just not suitable for arnica. So I can use daisies instead. And what I'm going to do with these is make a salve. And then not just for children, but for anybody who has a bump or a bruise. And I get plenty of those. I'm going to go in now and put these on some drying frames and into some paper bags. But on my way, I'm going to get a couple more of these mullein leaves, because I harvest the mullein leaves periodically as the plant is growing. I have a couple of other plants elsewhere that are smaller than this one. But there's another lovely leaf. So we always harvest just what we can process in the moment. There's no point having mountains of stuff because it can end up being wasted. So if you want to dry herbs for tea, or if you want to make a salve by infusing the herbs in oil, these are two old picture frames that Lol has stretched some netting over, so they make great drying frames. You can buy drying frames online as well, and probably in certain, maybe in agricultural or gardening centre type shops, but you can make them yourself, just as efficient. So I'll just show you what I'm doing with these. So I'm going to lay out this plantain and make sure it's none of it is touching the others. It's very mucilaginous, so it can get damaged quite easily, but that's okay. We can still use it, providing it's not too bad. And you might see there's a little bit of damage to some of these leaves. Some little creature has had a nibble, but they haven't gone too far. So that would suggest that the plant's immune system is strong and working, and so you are also going to benefit from that. So don't be too over particular, is what I'm saying. You know, don't discard something because it's got a tiny hole in it, like a couple of these have. There now. So that's the plantain. So on this frame, I'm going to put in the mullein leaves because they're so large that they'll be better on this large frame. And again, these are very mucilaginous, very soothing to the internal mucous membranes. You'd use mullein for the respiratory system to soothe hard, dry coughs and to help with expectoration, you know, to getting the phlegm up. So there's a few of the mullein leaves. And, you know, you just keep going through the year. As more plants come up, you can take a couple more leaves from another plant and you end up with a lovely supply. And then in the autumn, you can take up the mullein roots as well. So here are the nettles. And even though we tend to use really the nettle leaves, and we do something called garbling where we strip them off, we don't do that until we need to make the tea. So you just lay out the plant as you've picked it and make sure it's got lots of air around it, lots of room for each little leaf to get dry. So the plants will dry on the stems and then we garble them, take the leaves off when we're ready to make the tea. It just means that you hold on to all the nutrients and the other chemicals in the plant, you know, the constituents of the plant. They remain in the plant until you're going to use them. Whereas if you start stripping leaves off now, you're going to lose a lot of the goodness. For the rose petals, I'm going to spread them in the spare baskets now. The daisies will dry happily in this little basket. And the hawthorn as well. I'll just spread it out a little bit more, maybe separate it into another basket. So the roses I'm going to take and put in the dehydrator because it works quicker and it means they keep their colour for, you know, the colour is stronger. And these are just some of the ways you can dry your herbs. So you could hang them up to dry, you could put them into a paper bag. You just want to make sure they're not in direct sunlight and make sure there's plenty of air circulating so that they dry quickly and uniformly. So if you'd like to know any more about growing and drying herbs, it's all in the Introduction to Herbal Medicine, the digital 6-month course, where we cover this in much more detail. So in the meantime, I'm enjoying this fragrance and I'm going to put them in the dehydrator now and I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week. The summer is here, so it seems. Come on, dogs. I hope you enjoyed today's film. If you did, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And have a look at the website danusirishherbgarden.com for more information about us and about the herbal medicine courses I offer and the Wise Woman Way training. And if you go to the shop, you can find the books, the weed handbooks and other herbal goodies. And remember, we put a new film out every Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you next week.